بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, we are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity once again of continuing with our Ramadan Tafseer this Sunday, the 23rd day of Ramadan, 1438 years after the hijrah of our noble Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam from Mecca to Medina. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we shall be answering the questions that have been written. Hopefully, we will get enough questions because we discarded the ones that were written before. So if you wrote a question before which was not answered, you know it will not be answered until you write it, unless you write it again. So those who wrote questions before, they should rewrite them. And I hope that this time around they will be arranged in the order that they come. Inshallah ta'ala, and we shall treat them like that as much as we can. So inshallah, we take questions that have been asked. Hopefully tomorrow, bi'idhnillah, we'll be able to continue with the tafsir. Now, the first question we have says, if a woman is menstruating, what other act of ibadah can she engage herself in during Ramadan? If a woman is menstruating, she will do everything Muslims do, except that she will not pray and she will not fast. Every other thing she can do, every other act of worship, because you are asking for acts of ibadah. But if you are staying with her husband, of course her husband cannot have sex with her when she is menstruating. But she cannot perform salah, she cannot fast. That is as far as acts of ibadah are concerned. Every other thing she can do. This one says, is it anybody that someone can pray behind? And what are the qualities of a qualified imam? Well, every Muslim, you pray behind every Muslim, anybody who qualifies to be a Muslim. Who is a Muslim? There are some who call themselves Muslims, but who do not meet the conditions of Muslims. You cannot pray behind those ones. For instance, I don't know if that religion still exists, but I used to know of a religion called Chrislam. Do those people still exist? Their leader was an Afa. and later he became a Christian. Meaning that in their church, sometimes they mention La ilaha illallah, sometimes they say Jesus, Son of God. So they combine the two. And they practice Christianity and Islam together. Such a person, if he is leading Salah, you cannot pray behind such a person. Because it's not possible to be a Christian and a Muslim at the same time. Just like it's not possible to be a traditionalist and a Muslim at the same time, or a pagan and a Muslim at the same time, or a Jew and a Muslim at the same time. It's not possible. So you're either one or you're the other. So you can't pray behind such a person. Amongst those who say they are Muslims, there are the Shiites. You cannot pray behind the Shiites. Because we have a major disagreement with them. The Sunnah has a major disagreement with the Shia, the Rawafid. So you cannot pray behind such people. The Quran has declared Aisha innocent of the charge that she committed zina. The Quran declared her innocent. If anybody still continues to call her a fornicator, then that person is a non-Muslim because he has disagreed with the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. If anybody insults Abu Bakr and calls him a kafir, that person is not a Muslim. And so we can't pray behind such people. Then there are the Qalaqatu. Those ones do not believe in the hadith at all. They only believe in the Quran. So there is no way those who can believe in Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, because they can't describe him, they don't know him, they don't know how to differentiate Rasul from another person who claims to be the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. And those ones do not even believe in the Quran, even though they claim to believe in the Quran. Because if they do, they will believe only in the chain of transmission that brought the Quran to us. And they do not believe in any chain of transmission. They do not believe in the Sahaba, they do not respect them. And so we do not accept such people as Muslims. Then there are the Qadianiyah. Those ones believe there can be a prophet after Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. We can't pray behind such people because that is not Islam. Any religion that believes that a prophet can come after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, then definitely that religion is not Islam, and so we do not pray behind such a person, even though they claim to be Muslims. If anybody believes that something can be revealed after the Quran, that there's somebody who can receive a revelation after the Quran, that person is a non-Muslim. We cannot pray behind such a person. If the person believes that there is a dua that somebody will get, which will be more rewarding than the Quran, that person is not a Muslim. We cannot pray behind such a person. So basically what we do is compare your belief to our belief. If you believe in something different from what we believe in, then of course you are not of us, and so we cannot pray behind you. It's as simple as that. But there are some people that you think believe in something, but they say they do not believe in it. For instance, there are the Tijaniya who do not believe in the revelation of any dua after the demise of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. They do not believe in the revelation. But they believe that if a dua is good, it doesn't matter how it came, they will just accept it as a good dua and do it, and there is no problem with it. But then they do not believe in revelation after the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. These ones we cannot call non-Muslims. We can only call them Ahlul Bid'ah. If somebody is min Ahlul Bid'ah, then that person you can pray behind such a person. Even though it's preferable that you get somebody who is not min Ahlul Bid'ah and pray behind such a person. But if you have no choice, you can pray behind such a person. I hope this is understood. Now, this one says, is it permissible for someone to make dua for himself or other people, and at the end he will say, Insha'Allah? Well, it depends on what you have prayed for. It depends on what you have prayed for. I don't even know why Insha'Allah should come into a dua. You say, oh Allah, do this first. You say, Insha'Allah again. I don't know what that means. And I don't know how the Insha'Allah comes into the dua. But ordinarily, I don't see Insha'Allah coming into a dua. Because you're only asking Allah to do this for you. You don't tell Him again if you like. If you don't like, don't do. That's not how to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I don't actually understand in what context you use Insha'Allah. But I know what you do in dua is just simply, oh Allah, I need this, oh Allah, I need that. Do it for me. But if by Insha'Allah you mean that, for instance, you tell Allah you want to marry sister so and so. If you know she is the best for me, oh Allah, let her be my wife. If she is not the best for me, then choose another for me. If that is what you mean by Inshallah, then of course that is okay. Because you can do that. You're choosing a thing, then you're giving Allah the choice. Or you're asking for something and you're giving Allah the choice. If that is better for me, let it happen. If it's not, choose another one for me, oh Allah. You can do that. This one says, educate me on the qualities of the people who seek the reward of this world possess. What is world possess again? I don't understand this question. This one says, enumerate today in modern society's killings of human beings. I also do not understand this question. Why are you jumping some questions? Huh? Okay. So remove them now. This one says, Jazakumullahu khairan wa antum fa jazakumullahu khairan. What is the Islamic ruling on doing walima after graduation from the university and successful completion of Quran, the memorization of the Quran? Walima generally, if anything pleases you and you want to use the walima to thank Allah for it, it is acceptable. Because Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam says, you should do walima for marriage and other than it. So that's open. And that's why some ulama have chosen a number of things and said, you can do walima on them, like aqiqah, like coming back from a long journey and things like that. So generally, if anything happens to you which pleases you, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has enriched you with, or something nice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done to you, you can express gratitude to Allah by inviting people, giving them food to eat, and asking them to help you extend your gratitude to Allah or to pray for you. That is okay, inshallah. This one says, Jazakumullahu khaira wa antum fa jazakumullahu khaira. What is the Islamic ruling on working in companies or business ventures that have the pyramid scheme, where you earn mostly from people you introduced into the business? This, I believe, is talking about multi-level marketing. Ulama have said that multi-level marketing is haram. You understand? Because in that marketing you do not engage in trade. You do not engage in trade. So it's haram. You introduce 5 people to the thing and then you get some money as a result of that. Are they actually making profit, or are you only getting the money for bringing them victims? Because most times such businesses do not end well. So there is a risk factor in that. It's better Muslims do not engage in that. The fatwa of ulama is that that trading system is haram. Leave it. Instead, go and get engaged in trade. Engage in proper trade. You have a commodity, you sell, and you're giving money. Engage in that. It's better than all this speculative trading. Wallahu alam. This one says, can someone else who is not in salah correct the person in salah? Of course. Of course. As a Muslim, if you see somebody going wrong, you always have the right to correct them. So it doesn't matter whether the person is in salah or not. As long as you have seen a mistake that the person is making, you correct the person. Inshallah, there's nothing wrong with it. This one says, may Allah reward me abundantly and you too. He says he's leading his household, wife and daughter, in tahajjud. Can she correct him if he is making a mistake? If there is no other person to correct him in his recitation, why not? Why not? Of course she can. This one says, as the month of Ramadan is fast going, can you give out Zakatul Fitr now? I don't know about that. This is the 23rd day, I don't know about that. What I know about is from 2 days to the end. 2 to 3 days. Maybe it's 27th, you can start from that day. That is what I know. But for 23rd, I do not know. This one says, may Allah reward me abundantly and you too. Ameen. His question is, can a teacher receive a gift from his student apart from his monthly salary? No, sir, he should not. He should not, because that looks like gratification. Because if you keep collecting from such people, your judgment of them, your marking of their examinations and so on may get biased because of such favors you receive from such people. Since you have been paid a salary for teaching them, you cannot collect from them again. I hope we understand that. Now, this one says, is it permissible to pray behind a bid'i and people that look around during prayer? If somebody does not concentrate on his prayer, that person's prayer is invalid, and so you shouldn't pray behind such a person. The person prays, and sometimes he'll look this way, sometimes he'll look that way. There are some who even talk while they're praying. You can't pray behind such people, because of course their prayer is not valid. But the bid'ah, I think we have talked about that. If his bid'ah has not gotten to the level of shirk, then you can pray behind such a person. If a woman falls in labor and her membrane has ruptured without blood, can she pray at that time before the baby comes out? If she is already having a discharge, then she cannot. If it has ruptured, of course there will be a discharge. Won't there? Huh? There will be a discharge. So she cannot pray from them. Because that discharge heralds childbirth, doesn't it? She cannot pray at such a time. Also, she cannot be fasting at such a time. This one says, the Sheikh spoke about the Sharia guiding IVF by married couple who could not give birth through natural means. May Allah reward the Sheikh for that. What is the Sharia guiding surrogacy? It involves a third party, usually a woman, to carry a pregnancy for a couple. Is this online? Is this question online? Huh? Huh? Okay. Like I said, if the semen that was used is that of her husband, and then of course has, that of the woman is your wife, and then yours was taken and mixed with that of your wife, there is no problem with it. But if there is a third party, it becomes a problem. Do we understand? That becomes a problem. Because your sperm is not supposed to go into the womb of another woman. Because that is zina. Do we understand? So another woman cannot take it on your behalf. Unless that other woman is your wife. You have two wives. One cannot conceive on her own. Do you understand? On her own she cannot. It will not fertilize. But if they combine it and put it in the second wife's womb, then she can actually carry the pregnancy and give birth. That will be permissible because she is also your wife. Do we understand? But for another woman who is not your wife, your sperm can't go into her. If it does, that is zina. Allahu Ta'ala alam. Naam. If a 6-month pregnant woman starts seeing a drop of blood, can she pray with such blood? If that blood is the type you see when you are having postnatal bleeding, it simply means it's about time for her to give birth. And so what she's seeing is actually a sign that her child is coming out. And so at such a time she cannot pray again because she's already having a bleeding connected to childbirth. and so she is in her nifas at that time, and so cannot pray and she cannot fast. I hope I've answered that question. This one says, the question is, a woman that is breastfeeding a baby and she observes that she is pregnant during the month of Ramadan and cannot fast as a result. What can she do based on the ruling of Islam? For each day that she is unable to fast, she should feed the poor. She should give 1 mudun nabi of grain, either of maize, sorghum, millet, and so on. The grains that we know here, or or rice or beans. She can use any of that. 1 mudun nabi. It's preferable to use rice because that's easier to process. They'll simply wash it and boil it, and they can use it. It's easier to give rice, and you can combine like 10 days or so and give in a day if you can, or even for the whole of the Ramadan, or the days that you will not be able to fast. You can combine, measure them, and put them together, give somebody so that the person will be able to make good use of it. Because if you give just 1 mudun nabi to someone, it may not be enough for them to eat, depending on how many there will be. He may have a family. So it's better to give the quantity that will be useful. Inshallah, that will be permissible. And she will not pay back, of course, after Ramadan. This one says, if a woman menstruated after breaking her fast, but she is not sure if it came before the sun set, what will she do regarding her fast that day? The fact that she is not sure is from the shaitan. That waswas is from the shaitan, so she should ignore it. As long as she knows she saw it after breaking her fast, then the fast of that day is valid. Do we understand? What she knows is that she noticed the menstrual blood or the menstruation after breaking her fast. That means she had completed the fast of the day. If doubt comes to her mind that did this thing happen before breaking of the fast or after, she should forget this doubt and use what she's sure of, and that is that it came after she had broken her fast. What is the Islamic ruling on a sister who asked or requested marriage from a brother? She showed interest in the brother and showed that she wanted to marry him. There's nothing wrong with this. This is permissible. A woman has done it to Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. The man should be responsible. If he does not like her, he should tell her and should not molest her. He should not broadcast it. As a responsible man, do not even tell people that she was the one that showed interest in me. I did not show interest in her. Do not do that. Do not do that. It's not right to do that to women. So if you are not interested, simply tell her, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. And do not tell anyone that she showed interest in you and you said you weren't interested. That's not right. Do we understand? But there's nothing wrong in a woman telling a man she's interested in him. I only pray it's not me. Yes, because my doors are temporarily closed. I'm sure it will not be me. So if one decided to pray his night prayers alone, what is the intention to be taken? What intention is there to be taken even if you are praying behind the Imam? There is no special intention. You want to say, Allahumma inni nawaitu salat al-layli fi masjid aminat. You don't have to say all of that. You know the intention you have. You want to pray Salatul Layl. You don't have to mention it. Allah already knows. So you just say Allahu Akbar. And that goes with your intention. Al-Imam Malik says intention goes along with Allahu Akbar. So you can't be saying the intention and saying Allahu Akbar at the same time. Can you? So there is no wording for intention. You simply say Allahu Akbar with your intention in your heart, and that does it. So you can perform it alone. There is nothing wrong with it. You can perform the salah alone. You can go to the masjid and perform it in jama'ah. Of course, it is more rewarding to perform Taraweeh in jama'ah, if you can. This one says, the last time someone asked if it's permissible to work in the bank, you replied yes and no. Please explain further. It's yes and no. This one says, what is the ruling of the Sharia on surrogacy? I think we have answered this question. This one says, what prayer can someone say to attain khushu in salah? Okay, or what is the best way to attain khushu in salah? Okay. As for the prayer that you can say to attain khushu in salah, I know an isti'adha that Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam used to say. He used to say, Iddubara kulli salah. After tashahhud, after salatu ala nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and not kulli salah. You know, he would use it sometimes, and he would use the others, some others at some other time. So, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa, wa min qalbin la yakhsha, wa min, to the end. I think there are 4 isti'adhat there. I can't remember it exactly. Can somebody remember it perfectly here? من علم لا ينفع ومن قلب لا يخشع ومن دعاء لا يسمع ومن نفس لا تشبع. بارك الله فيك. So you use that because that is talking about قلب لا يخشع. If you have khushu in your qalb, insha'Allah ta'ala, it will also rub off on your salah. Do you understand? As that is for dua. But how do you attain khushu in salah? One of them, one thing I know you can do is, if it is time for salah and then food has been brought and you are hungry, don't go for the salah, eat first. That's one dawa. The second one I know is that if you are pressed, you are either pressed by urine or you want to defecate. Seriously, it's almost impossible to control. Do not go to pray. Because when you're praying, it will make you behave like this. There will be no khushu in the salah. So do not do that. If you are pressed or you feel like farting the air, you just finished the ablution and you heard the imam saying Allahu Akbar, he has gone for ruku. You want to meet that rak'ah. But then you are pressed. You have to be moving like this and trying to get the salah so it doesn't escape. Forget that salah, fart the air, and perform another ablution. If you were going to fart the air and you felt something like something more than farting the air is coming, rush to the toilet. You know, it happens like that sometimes. You thought you were going to fart the air. When you wanted to let it out, it looked like something more solid was going to come out. So you rush to the toilet. Huh? Don't do something shameful before your children. So rush to the toilet, defecate, clean yourself properly, come back and perform wudu. فَمَا أَدْرَكْتُمْ فَصَلُّوا وَمَا فَاتَكُمْ فَأَتِمُّوا. Since you wanted to get the salah and you were actually ready for it, only that you had a problem, inshallah, like a hadith explains, if you go to the mosque and you do not obtain the prayer with the imam, you perform the salah alone, you will have the reward of somebody who performed the prayer behind the imam. Do you understand? So, that is another way of attaining the khushu'. And then, if you are pressed, you make sure you take care of that. Then, do not wear clothes that will distract the attention of others in the mosque. Do not wear anything that has such designs that you may be distracted by it and you'll be looking at it. Do not wear it to the mosque. It's haram. Because Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam tore a curtain one day because it was distracting his attention. So do not wear that. And do not pray in the mosque in which there is something that distracts people's attention from their prayer. Unless you remove that thing. That's why you don't over-decorate a mosque. Do we understand this? If you have taken care of that, do not go to perform salah if you have eaten garlic or you have eaten onions, because it will affect the khushu' of others. Since you don't want your own khushu' affected, do not affect that of others. If not, it may bounce back on you. What you do not like to be done to you, do not do to others. Do we understand? Insha'Allah ta'ala, if you take care of these, the next thing you should take care of is, as much as possible, try to understand what is being said in the salah. Because that way, during the qira'ah, you will concentrate on the meanings of what you are hearing. Do we understand? And try as much as possible to keep all thoughts behind you before you come into the masjid. Wallahu ta'ala alam. This one says, is it permissible to cut the hand of a person who tries to steal something through the window? If he hasn't stolen it yet and has not, if he has stolen it, he put his hand through the window, he took the thing, but he has not, his hand has not left your room. The thing that he took has not left your room. Just simply collect that thing he took and let him go. Since his hand is in your room, you can give it like 6 lashes of the 6 strokes of the cane or 10. Don't go beyond 10. You understand? And let him go. All that can be done to him in that case, it will be that he will be punished for intrusion. But he cannot be called a thief. First, it has to be that the value of what he took is up to rubu dinar. Secondly, it has to be that his hand had left your room. If he had left your room and he was no longer in your house and was now about to leave with it and he was caught, he's a thief. If it has gotten to rubu dinar, the next thing we will want to find out is he unemployed? If he is unemployed, why is he unemployed? Does he have a good reason? Don't tell me you have a degree and the government has not employed you, and so you are unemployed. You are not unemployed. If you are strong enough to go and do agbero, there's nothing wrong about it. It's a way of making money. You are not above it. Who says if you have a degree, you cannot be a porter? Who says so? Nobody says so. Who says if you have a degree, you cannot be a technician? Or you cannot assist a mason to build a place and things like that? Who says you can't do all of that? So you are not unemployed if you can do all of that, and there are such opportunities where you are. And so that will not be an excuse. But if it's somebody that cannot do any work, and there was nobody to take care of him, and he got into that theft so that he will feed himself and his family, he will not be punished at all. The government will bear responsibility, because such people are supposed to be taken care of. Maybe he's a leper, he can't do anything. And in fact, there are sores all over him. And there is pus oozing from there. So he is not even able to hold anything. There is nothing he can do. He doesn't have any education to teach, for instance. So all that he can do is menial jobs. But he can't do that because of his situation. His neighbors are supposed to take care of him. If it's found out that he had neighbors who were careless and they refused to take care of him, and he got into that, of course it will be their problem. But then primarily it's the responsibility of the government. And so such a person is not convicted at all. I hope that is understood. So you also want to find out why he got into stealing. There is no time that stealing is justified. So it's not that it is justified. No, it is not. It's wrong to take what belongs to another. But then government has her responsibilities. If she does not meet her responsibilities, she cannot punish people for behaving irresponsibly. There are some of them that can be given light punishment, but not having their hands cut off, since they have a genuine reason. Do we understand? May Allah forgive us. This one says, what is the ruling on a Muslim brother that cannot afford Zakatul Fitr? The ruling is that he should be given. If he's so poor that he cannot afford Zakatul Fitr, most likely he needs to be given. So he should be given. But if he has something he will eat on that day, only that he does not have enough to give another person, then it's okay. There is no ruling on him. He can just get away with it. Just eat his food and inshallah it's done. It's not binding on him. I hope that's understood. This one says, our sisters travel far and near without their dhu mahram for NYC, school, etc. How can we reconcile this with the hadith that says they should not travel without a mahram? I don't know how to reconcile them both. I just know that it's not proper to do that. May Allah forgive us. It's not proper for the sister to travel alone without a dhu mahram. But then, what is she traveling to do? For instance, she is a nurse. She's going to study nursing. There is nobody to escort her. But somehow, inshallah, she'll be able to go there alone, safe. And when I say safe, I mean safe from the fitna of zina. Come on, adjust this thing. It's falling off. Okay. Is it okay like this? So if she is safe from zina, she can go because what she is going to study will be very useful to the entire ummah. And this one is her own maslaha alone. She can do that because of the benefit of the knowledge that she is going to obtain. Because when we have nurses, when we have gynecologists and all that amongst us, a lot of problems of the ummah here will be solved. because we don't have women to do that. So under such conditions, of course, they can get into that. If not, it's not proper. I only use nursing and gynecology as examples. It doesn't mean those are the only ones. There are so many other courses you could be going to study, which will be useful at the end of the day to the Ummah. She can go and study all of that. This one says, I've been coming across messages telling us to read Surah Al-Ikhlas 3 times, that it is equivalent to reading the whole of the Quran. Is it authentic? The hadith of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam shows that Qul huwallahu ahad is 1/3 of the Quran. So 3 will be the whole of the Quran. There is no lie in this. And so, but then why is the person telling you particularly to do that? Why don't they allow you, tell you the hadith and stop there? When you feel like reciting it, recite it. Some other times you recite some other ayat of Quran. They can't be telling you to recite Qul Huwallahu all the time, because there are other surahs also to recite in the Quran. So they should leave you alone, teach you the hadith and leave you there. So at the time you want to recite Qul Huwallahu, you recite Qul Huwallahu Ahad and you get that reward. At some other times you recite some other surah or ayat of the Quran. So people should stop to people, recite this, do this, that. If there is a hadith that says, if you recite this, you get this reward, tell people the hadith and shut your mouth after that. You don't have to be dictating to them every time and saying, you read this so time, read this so time. No, don't do that. Allow people to use their discretion. Since it's not compulsory, they can choose this sometimes, they can choose that some other time. Wallahu alam. How many more minutes do we have? 11? Huh? 25 more minutes? Is it not 1 hour? Huh? Okay. This one says, what is the Islamic ruling on using microphone to perform nafilah prayer, especially at the last 10 days of Ramadan? Wallahi, most of the time it's haram. Most of the time it is haram. Because you're disturbing the sleep of people who are sleeping at that time. And you have no right to do that. It's not compulsory, so you can't compel other Muslims to pray at that time. If somebody does not want to observe tahajjud, it's not compulsory, is it? It's not. So if they do not want to observe tahajjud, leave them alone to sleep. The person may wake up and want to recite the Quran. If your recitation is getting into theirs, they cannot concentrate. You have disrupted their worship, and that's wrong. There are non-Muslims who are sleeping. Why should you wake them up with your qira'ah? You're inconveniencing them. The person who is sleeping has rights over those who are not sleeping. There are rights of his. An alim wrote a whole book explaining the rights of the na'im ala al-mustayqib. So when somebody is sleeping, please make sure that you know their rights and protect their rights as much as possible. Remember that if some people are sleeping and you wake them up like that, not at the time they would have wanted to be woken up, what happens to some of them is that they wake up with a terrible headache. If the person wakes up with a terrible headache and he finds out it is Salatul Fajr that you woke him for, there is no inconvenience in that, because he's supposed to wake for Salatul Fajr. So let him just take Panadol and it's gone. You understand? But if it's not any compulsory Salah, you have inconvenienced him. He wakes up with that headache, he wants to go back to the sleep, he can't. But he is not compelled to wake at that time. So please, there is no need for you to use the microphone. Do we understand? There is no need. Wallahu alam. This one says, if there are many people praying behind you, and so they cannot hear your takbirat, there should be some other person in the middle or so whose voice can reach the others, that should be raising their voice so that others can know you have performed ruku and sujood and so on. Do we understand? And you know that will not be very regular, because sometimes before they can say that, it will be up to 20 minutes, and then after that they just say it once or twice, it's gone, until the other time again. So that can be tolerated, but the qira'ah is regular, you know, and that cannot be tolerated by people who are sleeping, especially at night. This one says, you said masturbation is allowed during Ramadan. See me, see trouble. Did I say that? Huh? Did I say that? See me, see wahala. I didn't say so, sir. I didn't say so. Says, what if the sperm comes out during this masturbation? If you do not ejaculate, then how is it masturbation? What I said is, some fuqaha say it is haram. Jumhur al-ulama say it is haram. I mentioned that, didn't I? There are a few who believe it's not haram. But the jumhur, the majority, believe it is haram. That's one. But if you masturbate while you are fasting, does it nullify your fast? No, it doesn't. Some ulama say so. Some ulama say it nullifies your fast. That's what I said. Whether it nullifies your fast, some ulama say there is no evidence to show that it nullifies the fast. And some ulama say no, there is evidence, because you have satisfied your sexual desire, and fasting is abstaining from satisfying your sexual desire. So I said, what of somebody who kissed his wife? Has he not satisfied his desire while he's fasting? Or he romances his wife until he ejaculates? Can you say that his fasting is invalid? He is allowed to romance his wife during Ramadan. He has satisfied his sexual desire to an extent, but his fast is not vitiated. So it's not all the time that you satisfy your sexual desire that your fast will be vitiated by that. It's only when you have sex with your wife. You understand? So that's what I said, but I didn't just say it's allowed. It's better not to masturbate, even if you think it is halal. It's better not to masturbate, sure. But that you have masturbated and that has nullified your fast, it's not every alim that holds that view. Wallahu alam. I hope that is understood now. Do not say tomorrow again that I said you can go and masturbate while you're fasting. Now, this one says, if a woman puts to bed and after she performs the spiritual bath, she notices some brown discharge, is her fasting still valid? She put to bed and her fasting is valid? Come on. If she has postnatal bleeding, of course her fasting cannot be valid. But she put to bed and there was no postnatal bleeding. There was no postnatal bleeding at all. She just noticed some discharges that do not resemble postnatal bleeding, neither do they resemble menstrual blood. But she noticed some discharge. She'll wash it off and continue her fast, because her fast has not been vitiated. That is, if it is only the postnatal bleeding that vitiates the fast. Is it the birth or the postnatal bleeding? If we take the postnatal bleeding and there is no bleeding, then she should continue with her fast. If we say it is the birth that nullifies the fast, then of course she is no longer fasting. But it's the bleeding that will vitiate the fast. Since she has not bled at all, then she will continue the fast. If she has bled, but then it ceased later, at the time she bled, the fast was invalid. So if it ceased just a few minutes later, that fast for that day is invalidated. The next day, if she is pure, she can continue with the fast. I hope this is understood. Huh? Have I confused anyone? Okay. This one says, may Allah reward me with Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen, and you too. What is the Islamic ruling on family planning? Family planning is okay. There is nothing wrong with it. If it does not have to do with imlaq. What is imlaq? The fear that you may not be able to take care of the children. If this is your fear, then it is haram. Do we understand? But if it is that you want the woman to rest, she's already breastfeeding now. You just played with her a little and she took in again. Huh? So she's just touch and go. Therefore, when she has given birth, you want to give some time. You don't want touch and go again. Because the children will be suffering, they will be malnourished because they don't get enough breast milk, another one is born. And so you don't want that to happen. And so you give some time, you give some spacing. That is permissible. If she has to have an insertion, that is permissible as long as it does not hurt her, as long as it does not have terrible side effects. It will be permissible. I hope this is yes. If she has to take some pills and those ones are not injurious, it's okay. If the reason is to space the children because of the problem she gets if there is no spacing, there will be nothing wrong with that. But if your problem is that you will not be able to take care of 5 children, so you want to have only 2 children, that is haram in Islam. Wallahu a'lam. We still have 25 minutes. Huh? 15. I don't want us to go beyond the time that is stipulated for the lesson. That's why I'm asking. If it has been said it's 1 hour, keep to 1 hour. If it's 1 hour, 15 minutes, we keep to that. We should be disciplined enough to have time and to be conscious of the time that we have fixed ourselves. Because when you tell somebody, this is how long I'm going to last, he's going to plan based on that. If you now come and do not respect that timing, you have offended, you have sinned against Allah because you have not kept your part of the promise. I expect Muslims to be very disciplined people and to be planned, for our activities to be well planned, so that we don't just operate like animals. That's why I keep asking these questions. Because we're in Nigeria, people find it funny. Why should you be so strict? You can just behave anyhow and you can get away with it, Abi. If a person missed a rak'ah from the imam, which one is from the imam? If he didn't get a rak'ah with the imam, he didn't obtain a rak'ah with the imam, and later on the imam had reasons to leave, if he appoints this person who has missed what? Okay, if he appoints that person who has missed the rak'ah to lead the salah while he leaves, how many rak'at will he pray? He will pray the number of rak'at that he owes. The people that are praying behind him, once they get to their limit, they will sit, perform say the tahiyyah and terminate their salah. That's one. The others say no, they will wait for him, because you do not terminate before the imam. But if there are situations like this, you can terminate before the imam. Because in this case, you're no longer operating on the same frequency with the imam. Do you understand? You cannot exceed 4 rak'ats. If you wait for him, that means you're still in salah in that rak'ah of his. And you are no longer in the salah. So just perform, say your tahiyyah and say your salam and leave him to complete his. Wallahu alam. This one says, is it permissible to buy salah clothes for oneself and family while owing someone that is also in need? No. No, it's not permissible. If he is also in need, give him his money and stay without salah clothes, as long as you have clothes to wear. Huh? By salah clothes, you mean special clothes that you sew for the salah celebrations. If you don't have the means to do that, it's not compulsory. You can wash some good clothes you have and wear on each day. There's no problem with that. So pay your debt. That's more important than sewing new clothes. Yes? This one says, a friend slept after Asr prayer because he had some stressful work. But he said he heard the Maghrib prayer while he was sleeping. He quickly jumped up and broke his fast, performed ablution, rushed towards the masjid. Before he was told it was a little bit past 6 p.m. Will he pay back the fast? No, he won't. That's a mistake he made. So he can go back to his sleep if he feels like sleeping. If he no longer feels like sleeping, then he should just continue with his fast. Inshallah. It's a mistake he made and Allah fed him with that. This one says, may Allah increase me in knowledge, Ameen, and you too. What is the ruling, or rather the reward, for someone who prayed tahajjud at home with his family and that one who prayed tahajjud in the masjid in congregation? If you had to stay with your family at home, you had to stay. Of course, there will be no difference. But if you could have gone to the mosque, you didn't have to stay. You could have gone to the mosque and your family could have prayed alone. Then you lose some reward at least that you would have gotten if you have trekked to the mosque and if you had prayed behind the imam. Because there is a hadith that says, if you pray behind the imam to the end, you will get a special reward. So it's better, of course, to pray behind the imam in the masjid. It's better. But if you pray at home, there is no problem with it, especially since you are praying along with your family. It's also jama'at and you are not alone. Insha'Allah ta'ala, it will be okay. But of course, it would have been better if you had gone to the mosque. For the women, if they can pray alone in their rooms, it's better for them to pray alone in their rooms. This one says, if he performs istikhara on a girl that he wants to marry, will there be signs to reveal she is right for him? If you feel like going on with it, that is the sign. If you still feel like going on with that thing concerning which you did the istikhara, go on with it. If you encounter difficulties in the beginning, do not be discouraged. But if you did not feel like going on with it after the istikhara, stop it. Now, huh? Last question. We have already done the 15 minutes? Huh? Okay, there is no other question after this. Okay. What is the Islamic ruling on smoking tobacco and shisha? They are haram. They are haram. Says the second one, he prayed behind an imam who performs 3 rak'ahs without taslim in between. Educate me more on this. Pray behind him. Pray behind him and do exactly as he does. إذا ركع الإمام فاركعوا وإذا سجد فاسجدوا وإذا كبر فكبروا, and so on to the end. So do whatever he says, he does. Inshallah, it is permissible to pray 3 rakats at a go with 1 taslim. There's no problem with that. Haven't you read that? Sometimes the Prophet would pray 5 at a time, sometimes 7. You know, so it's permissible to do that, inshallah. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا بها جنتك ومن اليقين ما تعون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا أبدا ما أبقيتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا وانصرنا على من عادانا ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا إلى النار مصيرنا ولا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا. اللهم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.